Today, we are talking with Taylor Baloney, the founder and CEO of the tech startup company Find My Everything Incorporated. She is unique to the tech world. She is an example of the unrepresented double minority in the startup community. Taylor has designed a unique device with a dual purpose, first to prevent human trafficking, as well as being used for other domestic purposes such as lost handbags, phones, and other personal items. Hello, Taylor. Well, outside of Find My Everything Incorporated, what are your interests? And who are you?
So I'm actually the oldest of five siblings. Definitely a lot of responsibility to make it and to do great because I have a lot of people looking at me, and I live in the Bay Area right now. I actually grew up here in Silicon Valley, which is really interesting because growing up, I never really thought like, oh, I want to do something involving tech. I actually used to be interested in the medical field. School, New York, St. John's University. I studied, so I thought I wanted to be something in the medical field, and realized it was not for me. And no, I always was very entrepreneurial. I wrote my first business plan. I was only 9 years old. I never knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted my own, right? And so I was like, you know what, the medical field isn't for me, but I still want change. I still want impact, and I still want to own my own thing. And that's kind of where Find My Everything started, honestly. At one point, I was a flight attendant. I flew for United and American, and I was on the plane, and I put my phone in the wrong bag, and I thought someone stole it. So when I landed, I'm looking everywhere for my phone, and I used Find My iPhone because you can use Find My iPhone to track it. And no one answers. No one, and there's a sound that emits if you press this button. My mom's calling, no one's answering. I'm like, oh, maybe police took it. So hours later, at this point, I was still in the East Coast, so I was flying for New York, LaGuardia, but I was in D.C. We were like somewhere in the D.C. area, and the lady had driven all the way to like Rhode Island. So on the East Coast, you can go from state to state in a matter of hours. So she had gotten to a whole other state by this time, and she finally responded, and she said, "Oh, I just saw this phone in my bag, and I'm just now hearing it because I put my bag in my trunk." So she didn't even hear the sound until she arrived. She was super, super sweet. She was away on business, and she FedExed it to me. So she did priority 1 day shipping. So the next day I got my phone. And I said, wow, if it wasn't for this technology, I would have never got my phone back. I wouldn't have been able to trace it, to track it, to find it. I would have just been out of a phone. And I thought, people don't just lose phones. They lose their luggage, they lose their handbags, they lose their wallets, they lose all kinds of things. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to track anything and everything that gets lost? It's Find My Everything. So Find My Everything originally started as a way to track missing items. And then my mother, who helps me a lot with branding, has over 30 years of marketing and branding experience, said, why don't we just not limit it to items? People lose their children. There's people with dementia, Alzheimer's. Human trafficking is a huge epidemic. So why don't we expand into safety? And I thought, I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. And so that's when I really, started going towards the movement of human trafficking and children and just people being abducted, because it's one thing to lose a handbag or a backpack or luggage, that's replaceable. Your child is not replaceable. Your loved one is not replaceable. And so that's really where my passion started to come in. And that's how Find My Everything came about. Well, why do I need your device to find my phone? I'm like, if you're abducted, the first thing someone's going to think is, let me take your phone. They're not going to say, let me take off your watch.
Right.
And so with this, you can wear it. It just looks like a piece of jewelry. So it syncs to a phone. And with that, using GPS technology, you can track your location on where you are. There's also an SOS button. So with that SOS button, you press that button, and literally a signal is sent out, and the phone will ring. Whatever phone is programmed will ring, and you can now answer. You can also even listen in to where that person is, their location. And let's say they don't answer for whatever reason, it goes to the next number. Up to 3 numbers can be dialed, right? So within those 3 numbers, someone's going to answer: mom, dad, grandparent, uncle, aunt, somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So now you feel safe with that device. The person, your parent or guardian feels safe knowing you have the device, and hopefully you never even have to use it. Meaning, hopefully, you don't ever have to press that SOS button. That's what we really hope for, right? But if God forbid you have to use that button, it's there and you feel a sense of security.
How did you develop this? Is it a piece of equipment that you attach to?
Yes.
It?
So it is a piece of equipment.
Okay. And so you attach it to your like Apple Watch, or can you put it on an earring, or
yeah, so actually, so there's different devices. So there's one that looks like a keychain that's in the shape of a footprint, and there's this other one too, which we were testing it out for the size of a keychain, right? It's a physical device. You would attach it to whatever you don't want to lose, like a purse or a backpack or a briefcase, right? And you send it to an app. And so what goes look on that app, and there's a map, right? So it shows the exact location of that device, right? So if you were to sync it to a purse or backpack, and it uses real-time tracking, meaning if someone leaves or moves with that device in real time, you can see where they're going. So one of the biggest differentiators with my product, and I know like Tile and Tracker, they use Bluetooth technology, so it's a limited range, like 100 foot. But because I use 2G cellular service, anywhere that a person goes, you can find, right? Anywhere that there's signal towers, right? So, which is awesome because you're not limited in range. So that's how that would work, like if you lost a purse or backpack. And we also have like watches and necklaces and bracelets. Like one literally looks like an Apple Watch. With that, it looks like really cute too, different designs. And so if, this person goes missing, and with that chip, that's when you're able to track that person or that item. And with that app, you can go on there and you can see, where they are, real time tracking. And then you can even listen in, which is really cool. So like, let's say you want to see, where they are, what's going on, you can listen in as well.
You went from an airline employee to CEO. Is that overnight kind of thing? What possessed you to leave this one career and just quickly make this U-turn with no technical background?
I know. So for me, I don't have a technical background, right? I did to kind of backtrack, I was studying medicine when I was in college the first 2 years, and I realized it's not for me.
Yeah.
I switched my major to business management. So I ended up studying business management. And like I said, I knew I wanted to have business, and it was kind of like, I was looking for, like, what do I want to do? But I was like, I want something creative and innovative. I want to start something that's mine, but I don't know. But I'm like, what? It'll come to me when it comes to me, right? I also love to travel. So I'm like, what? Let me be a flight attendant. I knew that flight attendant wasn't something that was going to be like my long-term career, but I knew for now, make some money and I can travel the world. Why not? And I always knew being a flight attendant would be temporary until I found exactly what I wanted to do. And when I got this calling, I really believed in it. And I believed in it so much that I was willing to quit my job and quit everything, leave my apartment in New York City, and found out I had this idea. And I'm like, what? I'm from Silicon Valley. I'm from the place of technology and innovation. So what better place to be at when it comes to a startup company than Silicon Valley? Right. So I'm like, what? I might as well go back. I'm like, what? It's expensive. I don't have my own place, but my family has a place that I can stay. So I called my mom and I told her about my idea. I said, how much do you believe in my idea? I said, are you willing to let me come back home for a year or so to get on my feet and to do this? Mm-hmm. And my mom was very, very supportive. And she said, yeah. And she said, so when you come in? I said, my flight's tomorrow. And she was like, okay.
I can just hear things tomorrow.
She said, well, good thing I said yes. Good thing, right? Yeah. And so that's literally how fast it happened. It happened and I'm that type of person where I jump on something, right? They say entrepreneurship is jumping out of a plane and building a parachute on the way down, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I've always seen that happen in my life. So that was nothing new to me. I skydive, I bungee jump. This is something I do, So I'm very adventurous. I take risks just in life. And I'm like, what? I'm young. I'm single. I have no kids. I'm not married. I wasn't even dating anyone. So I'm like, what? What do I have to lose? I was like 22 at the time, 23, and I said, what? I might as well do it now. Not now, then,
Right.
And that's how it happened. I came out here. I said, what? I don't have capital. I need an investor. And so I said, I'm going to get an investor. So I started researching, how to get an investor, going on YouTube, watching videos. I started going to meetups. So I went to meetup.com, and they had meetups specific for startup entrepreneurs, tech startup entrepreneurs. So I started going to people, I started meeting people and meeting different engineers. Mind you, I'm not an engineer. I had no technical experience. So I'm like, okay, how does this product work? So then engineers started giving me advice. I'm like, all right. So then I started researching IoT. It's called IoT, Internet of Things device, where it works with the device, with the software. Started researching, okay, how does this work? How would this product work? I started researching my competitors and how I could have a competitive advantage. I'm a big researcher, so I'm like, I'm a research. We're researching, like, if you want something bad enough, we'll make it happen, right?
Right.
And so I just started going to networking events, and I'm a really good networker because I was in this college preparatory program called the Young Scholars Program by Jacqueline Rushing, who passed away, unfortunately. But she taught us never miss an opportunity to be fabulous. And even in high school, she taught us about business cards and networking, and your network is your net worth, right? So for me, I'm like, look, I don't have all the answers, but I'm in Silicon Valley. I'm sure they're out here somewhere. I'm going to make a way. So I don't have the capital. I know they have angel investors, right? So I knew I didn't need a VC at the time. I wanted an angel investor. So I researched, okay, what's the difference between a VC and an angel investor? How do you get an angel investor? What do you need, right? Oh, a business plan, an executive summary. So, okay, now I'm over here online and getting a business plan template, right? Forbes.com, they had a great business plan template. So now I'm writing a business plan template. Okay, now I'm writing an executive summary plan. Now, okay, what is a pitch deck? Okay, now I'm learning how to write a pitch deck. So I'm over here just getting everything ready, right? People probably thought I was crazy, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to get an investor. And I remember I went to this networking event, and it was this Asian man, and he said, what's going on? I told him about my idea, and he said, so how do you plan on funding it? I said, oh, I'm going to get an investor. And he said, how? You're not going to get an investor. And then he said, you don't have anything. I said, okay. So that fueled me to work harder, right? So for me, when someone tells me I can't do something, that's all I need to prove them wrong. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. So like I said, during this time, I was getting my ducks in a row. I didn't have just an idea. That's what he thought. I had everything researched, planned out. I found my manufacturing company. I researched them. I talked to a sales representative. I got the pricing of the products, inventory, shipping costs, molding, development costs, manufacturing, how to prototype. They do prototyping. I figured out all the pricing. I also figured out, okay, what is the cost per product, right? What would the pricing of, the products be when I sell them, right? What will my profit be, revenue and all of these things. And I started really I got everything together. So one day I went to a meetup and it said angel investors will be present. So I said, okay, it was like $10 to attend. I'm going to go to this meetup. I'm going to dress up nice. And I said, I'm going to get an angel investor. And so there were two angel investors there. And the way it worked this particular meetup, everybody stands up, they introduce themselves, they talk about their company, the name of their company and what their idea is, whatever, right? So I stood up, so everybody stands up, and this one older gentleman walked in the room, an older Caucasian gentleman, and I knew he was an investor because everybody else had a name tag on that said their name and their company and their idea. And he didn't have that. I'm like, he's an investor. I knew it. He's an investor. It was him and then the two investors that were present. Afterwards, the way it works, everybody presents themselves, and then there's pizza, and there's like wine and beer and different hors d'oeuvres, and then you go, you mix and mingle. You can either talk to investors or you can mingle with other people in your network, so maybe you can meet other engineers or marketing people, and then you eat whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that people would like bum rush him. I thought people would all be trying to talk to him because he's an investor. So I'm like, everybody's going to be talking to him, right? No. Right? I don't know if they were nervous. I don't know what happened. I introduced myself and I said, hi, my name is Taylor Baloney. I'm the founder and CEO of a tech startup company called Find My Everything. I would love to share with you more. I would love to schedule a meeting or maybe email you and talk to you about my idea. I know you're an angel investor and I'm looking for funding. I handed him my business card. He told me he ran out of cards, so he wrote his name and email and contact on a piece of paper. I said, okay. He said, please just email me your executive summary. That's all I need. I said, okay. I went up to the Chinese lady and did the same. So the Chinese lady actually seemed really intrigued and interested. And we talked for a minute, a long, long time. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't seem that interested. And she seems very engaging. So I'm like, I'm going to send them to both, right? They say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I'm going to send them to both. But in my heart, I'm like, I think this Chinese lady is going to be the one. She's going to invest in me, right? And so I go home. I had an executive summary, but I said, I'm going to perfect it. I'm not going to just send it. So I perfected it. I spent 2 days perfecting it. So I sent off my executive summary in a really nice email. I emailed it to both the guy and the woman. I didn't hear, I heard back from the woman a couple days later, but she wasn't interested. I'm like, oh man, I really thought she was going to be the one. But I was like, well, we'll see what happens with the guy. I didn't hear anything from the guy for 2 weeks. He didn't say, thanks, nice meeting you, I'll get back to you. Not a peep. That Monday, I got something saying, hello, Taylor, I'm really interested in learning more about your idea and your product. Can we meet up? And so I was so excited because I was like, wow, I thought he wasn't interested. But I guess he was taking time to, really read over everything and decide what he wanted to do. And so we met at Capital Club. And my mom was a member at the time because of one of her businesses she was doing, right? So she was already a member. And she was like, you know what? We're going to impress him. You go with all your documents, your business plan, your executive summary, all of your stuff. And I'm going to go, right, with my experience on marketing and branding, and we're gonna go and we're gonna get him. And I said, well, Mom, remember that guy told me, I'm not an engineer, and I don't have technical experience, so I'm a little nervous. And she's like, don't worry about that. She's like, you have your research, I have my marketing and branding. We can outsource an engineering team, right? Or we can develop or hire engineers. You don't have to be an engineer, right? We can outsource it. I'm like, okay. We had a private room where we scheduled to meet with him. And we spoke, right? We spoke. I told him everything. I told him how it started, my story. I told him why I did what I did. I told him how I moved to Silicon Valley. I told him, I showed him my business plan. I showed him my executive summary, my pitch deck, everything. I had everything prepared. So we discussed some numbers, and he's like, you know what? I have some reservations. I'm not going to lie because you aren't an engineer. So he said, how much do we need? I told him how much I needed. He said, okay, what we're going to do is, he said, we're going to meet up again. He said, come get a contract, right? And I'll have my attorneys look over the contract. He said, we're going to meet up, same place, and I'm going to write you 2 checks. I'm going to give you half the money now, and in about a month, when you show progress, I'll give you the other half. So I went on rocketlawyer.com. And Rocket Lawyer does contracts, and they do legal advice, and they do like a free month trial. So I rocketlawyer.com, got a contract, had some attorney, and I also have some parents and my family members who are attorneys. Had my attorneys look over the contract, showed it to him. His attorneys agreed. We met up in person, both signed it, and he wrote me a check. And that's my investor story.
Fantastic. Yes, but the important thing, Taylor, look at how you prepared yourself. You didn't walk in just face, and you did all of the things that were necessary and all this work. And I'm sure most people would say, well, why do all this work? You don't even know what's going to happen. You may not even make it, but you didn't let that stop you. You prepared yourself. So when the opportunity came, you had it all right there. The package was ready to hand off. Fantastic, girl. You have proven a point I may have made with so many young women and men. Something you love, something you want, something you want to create. Don't stop creating. Don't stop doing. Keep learning and learning, and because that opportunity is going to come. And when it comes, you're ready because you've done all the homework. Congratulations, young woman. You are just amazing. I'm proud to know you. Listen, I'm hearing that your mother was quite an entrepreneur herself. So was she the impetus for this entrepreneurial spirit that you have?
Yeah, so my mother, my grandfather, my great grandfather is literally, and we have a street named after us. My mom's from Louisiana, a small town called Garyville. And if you go to Garyville, Louisiana, there's a street named Baloney. My grandfather was a politician, and he was the first African American in his town to make it so far. And one of the political things that he ran for. My great grandmother also owned a diner, and then they owned restaurants. They have invested in real estate. They had their own ambulance. um, ambulance truck. They had their own funeral home. So for me, I grew up with that, right? And like you said, African Americans, especially back in the day, we had our own everything. We had our own banks, we had our own stores, we had our own restaurants, we had our own everything, our own institutions. And I hope we get back to that. We do it to an extent, but I hope we get back to where we're owning our own everything. Because I was watching Roland Martin Unleashed. I don't know if you watched it. And he was working for a major network, and he said, "You know what? I was sick of people telling me what I can and can't say, what I can and can't do." They were cutting back all of these black TV specials, right, and black networks. And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna have my own, right? I'm gonna start from scratch." And maybe my numbers haven't reached what these major numbers are reaching, but I know they'll reach it, right? And at the end of the day, I have control of what I want to say. And he said more black people, right, need to do that. They need to have their own networks, their own podcasts, their own channels, their own radio shows, right, their own TV specials, so that we control the narrative. We control who's being interviewed and what's being said. We don't have somebody say, "You can't say that." We're gonna filter that out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just the key. Even in terms of jobs, I was able to employ some young 15, 16, 17-year-olds through the Milpitas Youth District, right? So they had, I actually have my certificate. Through the city of Milpitas, they gave me my certificate, Find My Everything. Oh. It's the Milpitas Youth Force. It was the first year doing it. So the way they did it is they wanted different businesses in the area to be able to get some labor, but also to teach the young high school students in the area some new skills. So I had some interns, and they did marketing. One worked on my website, which was fabulous. She helped my website. Some did like branding, and they did different things. But I had my office in San Jose. They came to it. We were able to collaborate and be creative. I had another young man who did a lot of logos and designs for T-shirts that I had created, and all kind of things, right? And they were a blessing. The Milpitas actually, they are the ones who actually paid them $15 an hour. So that was a blessing. And then it was nice. It was a nice feeling to know, what, I'm making an impact. And I remember afterwards, this one young lady wrote me this beautiful letter thanking me for the experience and for the opportunity. And I realized, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Not only, is the product wonderful and it's going to help, but, I can employ people and give people opportunity and jobs and experience that they can put on their resume, and it's like, that's really what it's about, creating opportunities for people in this generation. And yeah, it just was fantastic. And I love I love entrepreneurship. I know it's hard, it's rough, not easy.
Yeah, but it's just
no one said it would be easy.
No, but it's just as hard to work for someone else. It really is just that hard. And if you're doing it for yourself, right. I think part of it is, for the most part, and what I don't hear this in you at all. Most people are telling themselves why they can't do it.
Yes.
They're so busy telling you why they can't do it that they don't figure out, they are not looking at why it can be done.
Yes.
And that's what I heard from you. I want to do this thing, so what do I need to do to get it done? And I'm sure people said,
look at the solution, not the problem.
Absolutely. I want to solve this. So you're an engineer, whether you know it or not. You are an engineer.
That's what my mom tells me, because I'm very anal and technical. Mm-hmm. So even when we work together, she's more like the marketing and the branding, looking at the books and looking at money. I'm more of a numbers person. So she told me, she's like, you might not be an engineer by what you study, but you're an engineer. You started laughing.
That's right, honey. You don't have it on your forehead, but you got it in your head. Did you have any knowledge or interaction with any Silicon Valley industry greats when you were coming up, or other than your mother? Because she sounds like she is amazing. What did you gain by that relationship?
I did meet Deborah Watkins,
okay,
from the Green Scholar Program. And I actually spoke at another one of her programs that she has, and I was able to speak. And I love hearing her speak as well. And just hearing her story of, why she does what she does. It's about impact. It's all about impact. It's about the community, and especially with our young African Americans and our minorities, and being able to give back. As they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I love the fact that she gives back to her community and she starts all kind of nonprofit or organizations where she's really able to inspire them because, these children growing up, it's really important for them to get all the knowledge that they can because they really are our future. Mm-hmm. And so I really learned from that. That's one of the things that really inspired me, even when things get hard, to continue going with my startup company because you never know who you're inspiring or who you're motivating, who may see you. Because I spoke at IBM for Black History Month. I spoke at, NSBE and NSBE event, Green Scholars Program event. I've spoken at so many events, and afterwards people come up to me and they say, you know what, I had this idea and I never acted upon it, and you inspired me to finally get that business started or finally do something about that idea. I didn't think that I could do it, or I didn't know what to do, but hearing your story inspired me to start it. And so what I realized is you never know who you're inspiring or motivating by doing what you're doing, right? And they say be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to see change, you have to start, with that change, and you can inspire so many people. And sometimes it starts with one person, and people think, wow, I'm one person, I can't make a difference. Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. You can make a big difference. And when people see you have the courage to do something different, they're going to speak up, right? So that one person turns into two, into three, into hundreds and thousands. And it's a domino effect. So Deborah Watson definitely inspired me because I can see her passion with STEM and with technology and with mentoring these young kids to, a lot of minorities actually don't study the field of STEM. They don't get jobs in engineering and math and science and technology. It's not really a popular field among African Americans. And so that's another thing that really inspires me. Even though I didn't study engineering, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I had my tech startup. So, I realized that innovation and technology is such a big thing. If it wasn't for innovation, like you said, we wouldn't even have the computer, right. With Uber, we would have a normal taxi, Think about how Uber really changed the game, the way things are, and just all kind of things, Google and Facebook, Tesla. And if it wasn't for all of these technology and all of this innovation, our lives would not be what they are. So I like to inspire people, if you have an idea, it's not just, you don't just keep it up there. Do something about it. Start a company, create a product. Maybe it may seem overwhelming, but just take it one step at a time because you never know with that change, what you create, how that can change the world and how it can inspire other people to continue to change the world and how it can inspire other people to continue to change the world.
Right. Well, speaking of change, the future looks pretty bright for you, young lady. Just your attitude alone. But after this product, are you looking at developing other products or add-ons to this product? What's out there for Taylor Baloney to do next?
Yeah, so I love, Find My Everything, and I always have thinking of new things. So I'm sure I'm only going to think of another app or a device after this. Eventually, big term, long term, I would love to be an investor, a VC, like you said, where I can help minorities get funding for their businesses. That's a huge dream of mine. Speaking, I do speaking engagements. Before COVID happened in the quarantine, I had this huge speaking tour where I was going to go around speaking, and that was put on pause. But as soon as the world opens back up, I'm going to do my speaking again. I love speaking engagements and motivating people. So speaking is one big thing. I definitely want to eventually have my own VC firm and even like my own, they have like the different startups, incubators and accelerators. I would love to have my own accelerators for minorities. And it's not that I want to exclude people, but it's like they're not doing it for us. So somebody has to do it for us, And there aren't a lot of Black people involved in their own startup companies. And I was a part of a program called Founder Gym, which helps minorities learn what to do to get a VC. And I would love to have my own accelerator, something like that, my own VC firm. I don't want to stop at just having my company, but I want to help other people to fund their ideas. So that's really like my long-term goal, the next 5 years or so. But yeah, I don't want to stop just on my ideas. I want now to fund other people to now have their own ideas. And like you said, a lot of times people don't want to fund us, so it's like we have to be that change in our own communities and give that money to our people. So that's definitely my plan.
So it sounds like not only are you going to develop more products, but you're also going to bring along folks who have ideas and possibly support them from when they begin to develop things. And you
Yes.
will also be a spokesman to the community, and not necessarily a spokesman, but a teacher. Really, you're going to be teaching people to think in an entrepreneurial style. One other question: young people will find your story compelling. What part of your story would you tell young inquiring minds? And that last question is, what would you tell your young self if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were just starting out as a teenager? What would you tell yourself?
So if I were to go back in time and talk to young Taylor, I would definitely say, don't let the little things discourage you, right? Meaning, like, in life there's going to be so many obstacles, right? But just to look at that bigger picture, because I know when I was younger, like, I'm different now than when I was younger. When I was younger, I did let little things bother me, and obstacles and stuff that really impacted me. Especially when I was trying to do something, and I'm like, why is this happening? And there's so much a part of my story that I didn't get to share, but there were so many obstacles along my way. And what I realized is people see the glory, but they don't see the story, right? They see you on top, but they don't know all the obstacles you had to do to get there. So if I were to tell my younger self something, it would say, you know what, keep going no matter what you have to endure. The person I am now, I wish I was that woman from the beginning, because I think that my life would have been a little bit more smoother in terms of where I handle things. But it's all about growth, right? I'm 26 now, so I'm more mature. I've learned a lot in my life. People are always like, I thought you were older, because of everything you've done. I'm like, no, I'm still 26, but I've learned a lot, right? This 26 years, I've gone through a lot in life, challenges, obstacles, but I've had so much beauty in my life as well. I've achieved so much as well. I've inspired people. I've inspired myself, because sometimes you're so busy looking at what you haven't done. Sometimes you have to stop and smell the roses and look at what you have done. And my mom tells me all the time, and that's another thing I would tell my young self: don't beat yourself up, because you're doing a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I have to remember that, like, remind myself, you're done a lot. Sometimes you're like, man, I wish I could do more. I wish I was even farther along in what I've done. But I'm like, you've employed people, you've inspired people, you had different speaking engagements, you developed products. Like, you're very far along for your age, and your passion and your persistence has gotten you this far, and it's going to get you far, even further along. And there's always going to be obstacles, there's always going to be challenges. But when you remember your why and why you're doing what you're doing, that's what's really going to keep you going. So that's what I would tell my young self.
Fantastic. Well, now, if someone wanted to buy your product, where would they find how would they find it, and where would they go?
So right now, due to COVID, we were put on pause with the manufacturing company, but we will be soon, where they're able to purchase the products. I'm going to be getting it in, like, Walmart, Target, stores like that. So I'm going to be doing B2B, and also if B2C, but with Walmart and Target. So I was going to originally have it where they can purchase it directly from my website. We're doing a little rebranding and reshifting. So I do plan on partnering with, like, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, stores like that, so that they can just go directly in and purchase it. If they want to find out more, they can go to my website, which is findmyeverything.org.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a nonprofit, but .com was taken, so some people always ask me about that. But if you would like more information, findmyeverything.org. And I will be posting, updating it, where I put more information on speaking engagements, to where if you want to book me for a speaking engagement, whether it be a school or a program, if you would like me, to fly even to another state, I would love to continue to motivate and inspire, whether that's speaking on entrepreneurship, technology, innovation, or just human trafficking. I do a lot of different speeches, so I would love to do that. If anybody wants to book me for a speaking engagement, just contact me directly on my website.
Fantastic. Say hello to your mother. I haven't met her yet, but I'm planning to. And
Yeah, she's awesome.
I've got to meet this woman. You take care and have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Taylor Baloney, for a look at the possibilities available for those that have an idea and wish to follow their dreams. And thank you for listening.